You're listening to the Donecast on the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Let's don it. This is the Donecast. Here, we figure out how to get things done and what it takes to actually make projects happen. We don't put committees together. We don't try to get a bunch of opinions. We don't roundtable it. We don't take a pause and reflect. We just worry about getting things done. We are not precious here. Let's go.
And my brother's the only one in his class that had been doing outside projects in freshman year, partnering with even professors.
Right.
Professors walk in, they say, "Hey, Nick, how's it going?" And the other students are like, "How do you know that guy?" He's like, "Well, I reached out to him, and I've been taking pictures."
But that is so fascinating. You have designers and you have artists or people who are in a graphic design school, and they really believe exactly what you just said. I'm not allowed to start working until I get my degree, till someone says, "You're done, you're now able to go work." That's insane. Mm-hmm. I mean, now your brother, thankfully, is not like that at all. Yeah. He's out there working, he's hustling, he's putting that time in, and and he's been shut down. He's still online, right?
Yeah, all online.
So he's still online.
He's at home on his laptop, just listening to lectures, just to finish out degree. But he's like, when I'm done, I close that and I'm out working. Like, that's the value. And what did you say again? When he's applying or looking at stuff, they're not even looking at his degree. They're because he's still in the process of college, but they're not even asking it's just show me what you've done.
Well, what's funny, art and design and graphic design is really funny when you think about a degree, right? Because it would be like a fighter showing up somewhere and saying, "I have a degree from this gym." Right, they're still gonna say, "Well, put the gloves on, get in the ring. Let's see you work a little bit, right? Let's see your jab, let's see your punches. Let's see you work out." Or it would be like, if degrees mattered in the kind of careers that required hustle and insight and particular strategies, and then why would the NFL have tryouts? You went to college. You played 4 years at LSU. We should just have him join the Seattle Seahawks. Look, he went 4 years. He even got a degree in finance. We should just sign him. Like, why do they have the draft? Why does the NFL and the NBA, have these tryouts? Like, it doesn't... College football, and now I'm thinking, that's actually a really good example, right? Because that's insane to play 4 years college football or college basketball, right? But then when you get to that next level, to the pros, you got to come and try out. And yes, maybe where you came from, it matters in one sense.
Proximity.
What style coach you had, maybe you'd work, but all that. But you still got to come and try out. Your degree doesn't get you that job. And a graphic designer shouldn't have to bring a portfolio if the degree matters, right? People should be begging to get you right out of that degree moment if it's so, and people do that with like the Wharton School of Finance and a couple things like that. So that's what gets me fired up, is thinking like, wait, no, I can train people to actually have a skill set that can go right to work. And because they would have a portfolio, they would have an understanding. When I look at the amount of hours not put into the arts at every single program in the world, whether it be USC, NYU, Brooks Film Institute was different. That doesn't exist anymore. Ironically, the only place that was actually teaching people how to make films doesn't exist anymore. I've got people who I've worked with now for 12 weeks who pretty much have a better understanding of how to make content and think about content than people coming out of NYU or USC. Hands down. That's a fact. That's not even boasting, right? And I look at guys like you and the work you've done. You got someone like Johnny that walks in here and has zero experience in anything we do here, and now he could run circles around anyone coming out of film school. He may not know certain terms or things that they've taught when he gets into, if you went to work somewhere else, but But if he was to say, I remember once arguing with these Germans about the existence of God. They were like a German band, but they were really into philosophy, right? And they would say, but what is it that, when Hegel says the this of the that, how do you answer that? And I have no idea what they said. So I would just say, well, can you tell me just what that means and the implications of it, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. Like, tell me what that means. Well, it means that man's free will would, okay, now that you actually defined it as opposed to throwing terms out, let me tell you why you're wrong.
Yep.
And why Hegel was wrong. Okay, it's like, but when people want to live in this acronym world, like, well, tell us how you're going to put, what's going to be your CAC when you start looking at, what's that? Well, customer acquisition cost. We call that CAC. Oh, okay, so how much money does it take to go? Oh, okay, yeah. And when people start throwing those terms out that they learned in business school or film school, they think that's enough because they speak the language, right? We have a culture that's been defining who we're going to hire based on, do you know the shortcut terms in language, as opposed to, can you actually get something done? Johnny can now sit down with hours of content and at the end of the day have 5 or 10 pieces of content done that go to a client that then helps them either raise millions of more dollars for their startup or begins to build a brand which has a value. And he's helping people communicate daily. And that's it. Like, that's it. And the fact that people are selling something else other than a real skill, which I believe the skill is a mindset. It's not, well, can you edit? Can you shoot? Can you take a picture? Can you write? Even that isn't the skill. Right? That's not the skill. There's 1,000 people that are going to be able to learn Premiere in the next week. I'll learn how to use Photoshop. Or if I was to sneak over Matt Bain's shoulder and see what filters he throws on and gets that look so quickly on those pictures, I'd be like, that's it? That's all you do is throw that filter on? Because that looks insane. That's it. That's all you did, right? Everyone's going to be able to do that. What they're not going to be able to do is actually have the mindset of what to do with it. Because someone like Johnny, someone like Matt, someone like you now could literally look at Fortune 50, forget the 500, Fortune 50 companies and know that you have a skill set that can be applied there. Or you could walk down Main Street and look at the juice shop and go, I can apply it there as well. We have to communicate. There's multiple ways of communicating. And when new platforms show up, there's different things to learn about communicating on those platforms. That's it. The filming of it, the photo, you know all that now. And Johnny, you've only been here how long?
Like 2 months.
2 months. I mean, I was trying to show Johnny how to edit, and still, and the funniest thing is when I came the next day and I said, hey, he was doing something. I said, well, I didn't show you that. How did you learn that? And he grabs the mouse and he scrolls to the top left corner and he says, well, Adobe Premiere has a tab here called Learning. Was it Learning? Is it Learning? Yeah, it's Learning. Yeah. I was like, so you clicked on the Learning tab in Adobe Premiere last night and it taught you how to use it? I mean, I didn't even know that button was there. And if I did, I didn't think that's what it was. Like, I didn't think you learned Premiere on that on that button, right? Yeah. And then to watch even Johnny say, okay, well, I'm going to learn After Effects, right? But because Johnny went through, I think this, kind of tell me if I'm wrong, because you did the learning on Adobe Premiere, by the time you went to go do After Effects, you'd already learned a lot of things you could accomplish quicker in Adobe Premiere than doing After Effects. Because you had learned how to do those things I can't do. What are they? The keyframes. Oh, yeah. And all that stuff. Yeah. Like, so you then, when you went to go learn the Mac Daddy program, After Effects, you knew stuff you could already do in Adobe Premiere. Right. That was like, it's a lot quicker and easier. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's actually learning. But you were doing it while working on real projects for real clients who had a real expectation of something needing, which I'm assuming put a little bit more of like we're not just These aren't just class projects here at the Doan Creative Agency, you know? And I think that's part of that mindset is work on things that actually matter, you know? My wife, when she interned, you know, at hospitals, like they were sticking her, you know, they stuck her in the emergency room with, you know, at one of the worst crisis hospitals, right there at the 5405.
Okay, I know those freeways.
Yeah, so those intersections, that's like at the top 5, because you know those accidents of all how crazy it is, right?
Yeah.
The combination of how much traffic with the speed of which and all that, right? So she's down there in like the gnarly, you know, crisis hospitals. I forget what they call them, but the ER scenarios are gnarly, and so she's there interning. And she's watching literally the gnarliest things. And hey, we're going to open this guy's chest right now. And she's watching things that are just like, and you know, the saw was, and they're opening up all this gnarly stuff, right? Like, that's not a class project, right? Like that's
a dissection.
A dissection of a human being
that's a lab.
Who's still alive that they're trying to save, right? From some insane trauma, right? Like that's, you know, you don't go home and go, did I get paid enough today? Did they pay me enough? Like that experience becomes it's mindset. And I think when I look even at the landscape, I don't look that much because I know it enough, but even when I do look at it, you know, the fact that no one is really thinking about mindset, you know, although NSA is, again, it's worldview. How do you think of the world, right? But teaching this last year, actually having students online and teaching people in a classroom, sometimes I'm teaching a skill, how to do something, you know. But then in that same session, I'll try to communicate a way to think about something, and you see like the light bulb go off, and you know, oh, that's way more powerful and sticky than here's a little trick on Premiere when editing. You know, like, oh, they got that, you know? Like we had a whole conversation on, you know, something in regards to, I don't want to go into fonts. I talk too much about fonts, but it was about that, but it was like, well, why, who says, and, you know, and they had to really argue why they thought font choice was important, right? And they actually did a great job, right? Based on music, your font, the texture, does it all, is it too jarring? You know, is it a funny font? It was actually good, but they were able to articulate and make a defense for something. I was like, that's awesome, you know, and that's now what I'm realizing is that there's parents out there looking at their kids who are graduating high school, and they're thinking, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, I see people who were going to go to a big university, thought about a small university, but now they're not sure, and now they're thinking they'll do Liberty Online, and they'll, which would be great, I'm assuming on some level, but they're not excited. Like, well, I'll just do this online course, you know. And the thing people are paying for with college, now that we know everything can be learned online, is they're saying every parent must think this through. I am paying for my child to have a social life at a particular place. That's all you're paying for, because they could get the skill anywhere else online. And we're not even having this argument anymore because they've all been forced online, and no college gave any money back. They didn't give a discount. So we know that clearly this is acceptable. We're not just laughing at Grand Canyon and Liberty anymore and Phoenix, you know, and like everyone's online. Okay. So you are paying for a college experience. So outside of like, hey, I want 1 in 4, which everyone agrees, you know, stat-wise, women are going to get raped at college. Yay! That's the experience I want her to have. Hopefully a good one. Hopefully she's the other 3 that learn how to fight off a rape. Yeah. I think the numbers are wrong anyways, but still, that's what everyone tells me. Every university tells me it's 1 in 4. So I'm not sure what, at least when it comes to your daughters, what college experience you're paying for. Like, that's twisted. You know what I mean? And people just forget that stat and say, yeah, but okay. You are paying all that money for a college, for a social experience for 4 years that you think is going to shape And those 4 years, I think you could argue, as Dr. Ben Merkel has argued, those 4 years, 18 to 22, are probably the most influential, transformative years of someone's life. When you think about going from 18 to 22, what you learn there lasts most likely forever. Well, I'm seeing people now who have already accepted there's nowhere to send their kids because there's nowhere to send your kids to a campus. So the experience part is gone. May as well pick online. And so I'm looking at Moscow, Idaho now, and I'm saying, well, wait a minute. We can do things in person here. We actually have industry and we have education that is going to be here in person. But we also have people who maybe want to come to Moscow, Idaho, who maybe even want to come to NSA, but maybe don't think they're maybe prepared for the rigor of NSA, or only want certain aspects of it. And maybe they do want to go into art, design, film, all those things that I know I can offer. And so finding partnerships, because anyone I believe can go to a school like NSA and still audit classes, take a class or two, do those things. I think that is available. I'd look into that. But there are ways to do that. Or take online classes, right, of the things that because I think bringing that Christian worldview is the most important part, at least what I'm trying to do. But to open up those opportunities for people and for parents to say, wait a minute, can I get my kids out to Moscow, Idaho? Can I get them in a real environment with people where there's going to be culture and communication and hanging out and that camaraderie, and also be around a school like NSA where there's like-minded people? I think there's a huge, huge opportunity out there right now, and that's something that I have to think about even more deeply and then move fast. Because I think if I could launch that spring 2021, do a spring and a fall, I think it could be a game changer. Let's get to work. Hey, thanks for listening. Please subscribe, share, do what everyone is saying to do when it comes to these podcast things. Thank you so much.